So 20 rounds done, 2 to go, and just 8 points separate the top 2 who have been absolutely leagues clear all year round. And unfortunately, it is not a live reaction to the Qatar Grand Prix, as I had an extremely manic day at work and I didn't finish until 5 o'clock today, and it's back to normal 2 PM starts rather than the nice 7 PM starts, which I quite enjoyed as I was able to watch them. But either way, I do have my phone full of a couple notes of what happened during this race, only from the highlights section, so there are a little bits that I may have missed out. Equally, we'll be going over the Audience Prediction Championships and then a new segment, the Discord moment of the race. If you'd like to get involved in the Discord channel that I have, the link for that is in the description down below. But without further ado, let us take a look at those Audience Prediction Championships results, and it is Elliot, F1 Kerala, Hal and Liam who are all joint on 15 out of 25 for the predictions this weekend. But honestly, a fairly low scoring round. Once again, that is 2 on the bat that we have all had fairly low scoring rounds. Normally, there are a couple of people in the low 20s. And unfortunately, myself had a doozy. I had 9 points this round, and the championship leader, Evan Darcy, only scored 8. Actually, in the bottom half of the leaderboards. That hasn't happened this whole season. They have been phenomenal at predicting so far, up until Qatar, where they've only scored 8. They're joint with Callum and just 1 point behind myself. Which means adding up all of these scores to the previous scores that have happened so far, we have 133 individual entries, but it is still Evan Darcy who holds a significant point advantage over Arturo Zalazar and Joe Bisho, who are now joint for P2 on 243. Elliot is then closing in on Danielle B for P4, with myself just 1 point behind Hal in the second half of the first leaderboard. It is equally Hal who joins the 200 point club for this round, and then we have 2 members who have just joined the 100 point club, Alita M and then also Go for the Gap. But if we scroll into the second half of this leaderboard, for those who haven't entered into every single round, only a couple, it looks a little something like this. With then the people that have entered into just a few, it looks something like this as well. So mainly these are the people that have only entered into just 1 or 2 of the predictions this season. There is then of course a second half to this leaderboard, with the people going down into single digits, and then finally there is this leaderboard here. Like I said, there are 133 unique individual entries into this series, which is absolutely mega. I cannot wait to boot this back up with some minor adjustments for 2022. However, to adjust for the fact that some people haven't entered into every single round of this season, I've instead created a average points for the entries that you have made leaderboard. So if you see yourself really high up in this one, you know you are an exceptionally good predictor. And that leaderboard currently looks a little like this. It is Schlank and Tushar Sign who are still at the top with 16 for their 1 and 2 entries respectively, with Evan Darcy having 19 entries. Bear in mind I did miss the Belgian Grand Prix, with an average points across those of 14.3. The next closest person to him is Danielle B with 13.5 with 17 entries. And in order to see myself in this leaderboard, we actually have to scroll down into the second half of this bit. I am on 11.1 for the 19 entries that I have made. There is then of course the second half to this leaderboard for the remaining 133 entrants, for again the people that have only entered into just a handful of the races. There is then the second half of this bit down into the single digits, and then finally the last little leaderboard. So with those Audience Prediction Championships all done and dusted, let us jump on into my little race recap and review of the Qatar Grand Prix. But jumping straight into it, everyone who started with an odd number got a good start, whereas everybody who started with an even number got a bad start, which was fairly visible when we went to that helicopter overhead shot of the start. Everyone on the dusty side, the right hand side of the circuit, got away just that little bit slower, and unfortunately Valtteri Bottas and also a couple others fell considerably further back in the field, which definitely helped Max Verstappen propel his way up from P7 after his grid penalty all the way up to P4 super early on by the start of the race. And then leading straight on into that, by lap number 4 he was stuck behind Pierre Gasly, and then on comes a little radio message. I'm a little bit stuck here. Now, we've heard this a couple of times in reference to the AlphaTauris. I personally really dislike this. I've just put, ugh, I hate this so much. They shouldn't be able to control and use the second team like that. Equally, straight up shouldn't be able to own two teams. So you just shouldn't even be in this position where you can just... They haven't team ordered it because it hasn't been an explicit get out of the way Gasly of Verstappen, but it's this whole subliminal, I'm a little bit stuck here from Verstappen to Red Bull, and then a couple minutes later, Franz Tost or somebody will be on the radio to Gasly saying, by the way, Verstappen is moving quite quickly behind, and then literally the next corner, oh, Gasly, you've gone a bit wide. That's a shame. Oh, Verstappen got past really easily. Damn. It sort of kills the sport just a little bit, but I do understand that they own two teams and they're clearly allowed to do that. I just feel it's a bit unfair. Then moving a little bit further on into the race, as honestly not too much happened in the first little portion of the race, and actually the majority of it, there wasn't too much going on, as Bottas was really struggling to get past, and he doesn't really like some traffic situations, right up until the point where Toto Wolff and also James Vowles got on the radio to him, and then he started putting in some exceptionally good moves, all the way up to, I think he got up to P4 at one point, when then... I think it was Perez came into the pits. He was running in the podium positions and then his tyre went boom. But I've gotten a little bit ahead of myself. Good Alonso, Perez and Leclerc scrap. That was coming out of the pits, I believe, for one of them, as Leclerc hadn't yet stopped. And there was just this good three-way battle as Perez tried to get past Leclerc the same way that Alonso did, but on the other side, didn't quite work. Then Perez lost out to Alonso by a second or so, and then managed to get past Leclerc. But then we get up to the Bottas puncture. Why did Mercedes ignore Pirelli, who said that the medium compound of tyres would run for 30 laps? Mercedes put him out there for 34. Now, Pirelli do estimate their tyre life based on the running in practice, and they usually give it to like a factor of 5, so it's usually 30 laps, 35 laps, 40 laps, etc, etc. However, for the case of Qatar, it was ever so slightly different instructions from Pirelli. They said that the tyre will not be able to withstand the loads. It is physically not a wear issue of the tyre, it is a structural issue of the tyre. The loads in Qatar were that much greater than Pirelli expected that the tyre would structurally fail at lap 30-ish. And it failed on lap 34. So knowing that, why did they keep him out for so long? Yes, he never actually gained a full pit stop advantage over Sergio Perez, which is probably what they were hoping for in order to pit Bottas on the one-stop strategy and then stay in front of Perez. But it just... they sacrificed so much by staying out just that little bit too long. And then that sort of basically sent everyone into a little bit of a frenzy. It sort of sparked everyone to go to a two-stop, apart from Fernando Alonso, who managed to nurse those hard compound of tyres all the way to the end, and that was stellar. There was a cracking battle with Ocon and Perez. Ocon being told to defend like a lion. Payback for the defence from Fernando Alonso in Hungary. Ocon is now defending a podium for Fernando Alonso. That was stellar. Then right at the very end, both Williams heartbreak as they both receive punctures in exactly the same way as Valtteri Bottas. Again, a structural failure with the hard compound of tyres, which admittedly, they didn't run them for that long. Pirelli said they would structurally fail at lap 40, whereas Williams only ran them for the low 30s. So that one definitely failed earlier and sooner. This isn't really a debris or a curb issue. This is a load and structural issue to do with the sidewall construction of the tyre. And then we have my driver of the day considerations. Now I've got a couple in here. So first up, Fernando Alonso, getting driver of the day officially from the fan votes, and he is up for my driver of the day considerations, getting his first podium in 105 starts in Formula 1. That is absolutely ridiculous. The first one since 2014, the longest podium break ever. Then I've gone for Lewis Hamilton, absolutely faultless. Now, I'm personally not going to give it to Lewis Hamilton, but I do have to give him some consideration. Equally, Max Verstappen, for pretty much the same reasons. They were at times a minute ahead of everybody else. That just doesn't happen in like modern day Formula 1, apart from this season where they are so much quicker than anybody else. So they easily go in for my driver of the day considerations, but I don't think they fully deserved it just as much as some other drivers. Then finally, the driver number 4 for my driver of the day considerations is Lance Stroll. He drove that Aston Martin all the way to a extremely respectable P6 finish, or P7. P6 or P7, but the Aston Martin has not been a P6 or P7 fighting car at any point of this season. And he flew really under the radar. I don't really feel like anyone spoke about it at all. So personally, my driver of the day is actually going to go to Lance Stroll for his massive overperformance in that Aston Martin. But please let me know in the comments down below if you disagree with my driver of the day considerations, and then equally let me know about your driver of the day as well. And then finally for this episode, we are going to go over the Discord moment of the race. If you would like to get involved in the Discord and chat with myself and fellow fans of the channel and Formula 1, follow the link in the description down below. And the Discord moment of the race was the favourite moment was the fight back from Sebastian Vettel from P17, another one of the sufferers of the bad starts on the even side, as he slipped all the way down to P17 and then fought all the way back up to P12. Yes, the Aston Martin scored points in the hands of Lance Stroll, but you would 100% expect Sebastian Vettel, starting inside the top 10, to have gotten those points as well. And there we go, there is my race recap and review of the Qatar Grand Prix all done and dusted. Catch me in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.